Everything changes in a blink in Heartland, Season 19. Episode 1, That Blink Comes with Footsteps, a shadow, and the impossible becoming real. For years, Amy lived with the pain of losing Ty. We all did. We grieved with her, watched her, tried to heal, tried to believe that moving forward was the only choice left. But what if the story wasn't over? What if the ending we thought we saw was just the beginning of something far more powerful, far more heartbreaking, and far more unbelievable? Because in this episode, the man we said goodbye to walks back into the lives that shattered without him. Ty Borden is alive. And when Amy sees him again, the world doesn't just pause it completely, rewrites itself. The morning starts like every other in Hudson, with the quiet hum of ranch life moving along as usual. But underneath the routine, there's a tension no one can name yet. Amy is going about her day, doing what she's always done since that terrible moment so many seasons ago, surviving, not thriving. She still talks to Ty when she's alone, still looks up at the stars wondering if somehow, somewhere, he hears her. But now, something is different. There's an ache in the air, a ripple that hints the calm is about to break. As Amy tends to the horses and checks the gates, she senses it but brushes it off, the way you do when your heart wants something too badly to believe it's real. She doesn't know that her world is already changing. That across town, someone has stepped off a bus. Someone with a story no one would believe unless they saw him with their own eyes. It doesn't take long before news starts to move, first quietly. Then, like wildfire, people say they've seen someone. A man who looks like Ty. But that's impossible, right? Ty's gone. The town buried him. Amy buried him. Yet there it is. Again, another whisper, another sighting. Lisa hears it at the diner. Katie hears it at school. Even Tim hears it from a neighbor who swears she saw a man who looked exactly like Ty asking for directions to the ranch. Everyone reacts differently. Some with laughter, some with fear, and some, like Jack, with silence because something in his gut tells him this isn't just gossip. This is something else. Something real. Jack's always trusted his instincts. And right now, they're screaming that a storm is coming, not the kind that tears down fences, but the kind that tears open hearts. Amy finally hears the rumors from Lou, who's hesitant to even bring it up. I'm probably crazy, Lou says, trying to laugh it off. But someone swears they saw Ty. Amy freezes. The room suddenly feels colder, tighter. Her voice is barely more than a whisper. That's not funny. But Lou isn't smiling. I'm not joking, Amy. They described him. In detail. Down to his boots. For a moment, neither of them speaks. The silence is loud, filled with fear and something dangerous hope. Amy shakes her head. It's not possible. He's gone. I saw him. I buried him. But inside, her heart is racing. Because no matter how much she's tried to let go, a part of her never truly believed. Ty was gone. She just couldn't say it out loud. Until now. Meanwhile, in the quietest parts of Heartland, memories begin to stir. Old photos are pulled from drawers. Dusty boxers filled with Ty's belongings are opened again. And one by one, the people who loved him start to ask themselves the unthinkable. What if? What if the impossible is true? What if the story didn't end when they thought it did? Each of them feels it in their own way. Jack starts spending more time by the porch, eyes scanning the horizon. Lou checks her phone constantly, waiting for a call that never comes. Even Tim begins to act differently, quieter, more restless. Like something is gnawing at him from the inside out. Because if Ty is alive, if he's really out there, everything they've built since his death could fall apart or finally fall into place. Amy tries to go on like nothing's changed. But inside, everything is shifting. She starts to see things, hears things, dreams of Ty more vividly than she has in years. In one dream, he's standing by the barn, just looking at her, no words. In another, he whispers her name, and she wakes up in tears. She tells herself it's stress. She tells herself it's the rumors getting into her head. But deep down, she knows something's coming, something she's not ready for. Because how do you prepare yourself for the one thing you stopped hoping for? How do you stand face to face with the past you've spent years trying to live without? And then it happens. Not with a bang, not with a storm, but with quiet. A moment. So soft, so simple, it nearly goes unnoticed, but it's real. Amy's out at the paddock, checking a loose fence board, when she hears Ida's voice, familiar, warm, shaky. Amy, her heart stops. She turns, slowly, like if she moves too fast, it might vanish. And there he is, Ty standing just a few feet away. looking exactly like he did the day she lost him, but older, wearier, and heartbreakingly real. Amy's first instinct is disbelief. Her knees go weak, she can't breathe. No, she says, backing away, you're not real. But Ty steps forward, tears already in his eyes. I'm real, Amy. I swear to you, I never died. I never stopped loving you. And in that moment, everything Amy thought she knew, the grief, the loss, the life she built without him collapses. What follows isn't peace, it's chaos. Amy falls to her knees, crying in a way she hasn't cried in years. All the walls she built shatter. Ty kneels beside her, holding her, but she doesn't know whether to kiss him or hit him. How could you let me believe you were dead? She sobs. Ty tries to explain, but how do you explain the unexplainable? How do you tell the love of your life that you were forced to disappear? That the government faked your death? That it was the only way to protect her and Lindy? He says the words slowly, carefully, and Amy listens. She wants to hate him, but she can't. She wants to stay angry. But the part of her that died with him is already coming back to life. She touches his face, still unsure, still trembling. You're really here, she whispers. Ty nods. I came back to you, just like I promised. And that's where it all begins. Again, not with certainty, not with clarity, but with a chance. A second chance at the life they lost. A chance to heal not just themselves, but everyone around them. But second chances come with consequences. And as word spreads across Heartland that Ty Borden is alive, old wounds reopen, old questions rise, and not everyone is ready to forgive. For days, it doesn't feel real. Ty is back, but Heartland doesn't know what to do with him. The ranch that once echoed with his voice now stands in stunned silence. Amy tries to stay strong, to act like she understands, like she accepts the impossible truth standing in front of Erba. Every time she looks at him, her heart breaks all over again. There are moments when she wants to hold him and never let go. But then there are moments when the rage comes up like a wave she can't stop. Why didn't you fight harder to come back? She finally asks one night, voice raw, exhausted from pretending to be okay. Ty doesn't flinch. He expected that question. I did, Amy. I fought every day. But they said if I even tried to contact you, it would put you and Lindy in danger. I couldn't live with that. His answer doesn't erase the pain, but it's real, it's honest. And in a world where she's been drowning in lies for years, Amy holds on to that honesty like a lifeline. Lindy is too young to understand what's really happening, but even she can feel the energy in the air. She watches her mom with wide eyes, confused by the sudden presence of this stranger who isn't really a stranger. She doesn't remember Tia, at least. Not in a way she can explain, but there's a softness in the way he looks at her that makes her feel safe. One morning, Amy finds them sitting on the floor of the living room, surrounded by photo albums. Ty is showing her baby pictures, pointing out the first time he held her, the first time she smiled at him. Lindy leans her head on his shoulder. You knew me? She says quietly. Always, Ty replies. And in that moment, something unspoken passes between them, a thread reconnecting what time and silence tried to tear apart. But not everyone is ready to embrace this miracle. Jack is quiet, too quiet. When he first saw Ty, he reacted like a man seeing a ghost, but now that the shock has worn off, he's retreating inward. Amy notices it right away. Jack avoids eye contact, finds chores to do that take him to the farthest corners of the ranch. It isn't anger, it's something deeper, something colder. Finally, Amy confronts him. You haven't said a word since Ty came back. Why? Jack doesn't look up from his coffee. Because I don't know how to believe in something I already buried. His words hit Amy like a slap. He's not a dream, Jack. He's real. He's here. Jack finally looks at her, eyes filled with a sadness too old to name. I know. And that's what scares me. Because if I let myself believe again and I lose him again, I won't survive it. Amy doesn't push. She just reaches out and takes his hand. For the first time in years, they're both afraid for the same reason. Lou returns to Heartland with Katie in tow, still stunned by the news. I had to see it with my own eyes, she says as she steps onto the porch. When Ty opens the door, Lou's breath catches. It's not just the shock of seeing him, it's the tidal wave of everything they've been through. Ty's face carries more than time. It carries weight, history, secrets. Katie, sensing the tension, stands back as Lou approaches. Why didn't you call me? She asks, eyes filling. Why didn't you call any of us? Ty's voice breaks as he answers. Because I didn't want you to have to lie. I didn't want you to carry the burden I was forced to carry. Lou doesn't know how to respond to that. So instead, She steps forward and wraps him in the kind of hug that only comes from someone who thought they'd never get the chance to say goodbye. Or hello-again. Meanwhile, Georgie's return is nothing short of an emotional explosion. She had just begun to heal, to rebuild her life, chasing Olympic dreams and building something away from the shadows of grief. When she heard the rumors, she dismissed them just like Amy did. But when she sees him standing there with that same quiet strength, it's like she's 17 again, filled with a pain she thought she'd outgrown. I can't do this, she says at first. I can't go through losing you again. Ty walks over, eyes locked on hers. You won't have to, he says, and then she breaks. The walls come down, the bravado crumbles, and Georgie runs into his arms. You were my anchor, she sobs. When you left, I drifted. I didn't know who I was anymore. Ty holds her close, then let's find out together. It's not perfect. It's not a solution. But it's a start hand for Georgie. That's more than she ever thought she'd get. But not everyone in town is welcoming. Rumors spread fast and not everyone believes the story. Some think Ty is a fraud, an imposter, part of some twisted scam. Others whisper darker things, conspiracies, lies, betrayal. The media catches wind, and suddenly Heartland becomes a spotlight again. Reporters line the front gates, asking questions no one wants to answer. Where has Ty Borden been? Why did the government fake his death? Was Amy in on it? The pressure builds. The peace they were starting to rebuild begins to crumble under the weight of public curiosity. Amy finds herself defending her family again, not against tragedy, but against gossip. And then come the threats. Not everyone is happy Ty survived. Not everyone wants the truth to come out. A letter shows up on the ranch gate, no return address, no name, just one sentence. You should have stayed dead. Suddenly, the miracle becomes a nightmare. Ty confesses to Amy that there are still people out there who might want him gone. I thought they were all behind bars, he says, rubbing his hands together, trying to calm the storm inside him. But I was wrong. Amy feels the fear return, the fear she thought she left behind when she buried him. Only now, the danger isn't grief. It's real. It's present. And it's coming for them, despite the storm gathering on the horizon. Something stronger begins to rise in its place, resolved. Ty gathers the family, explains everything. The witness protection, the silence, the surveillance, the threats, the sacrifices. He shows them the files, the letters, the videos he recorded for Lindy in case he never made it back. Everyone listens, no one speaks. When he's done, it's Jack who breaks the silence. You made a call none of us could have made. You gave up everything to protect us. That's not something I can be angry about. That's something I have to respect. One by one, the others nod. Amy squeezes Ty's hand. You're not alone anymore. Whatever comes, we face it together. But as the sun sets on that day, and Ty stands at the edge of the property watching the horizon like he used to, he knows something with a clarity that shakes him to his core. Coming home was only the beginning. Because now, the real fight begins. Just to reclaim his place in the family, but to protect it from the dangers he never meant to bring with him. The days that follow are a strange mixture of peace and fear. On the surface, life tries to resume its rhythm, meals are shared, chores are done, and laughter occasionally finds its way back into the corners of Heartland. But under all that, a quiet storm is brewing. Ty is back, yes, but with him comes a weight that nobody quite knows how to carry. For Amy, it's like walking a tightrope between joy and dread. She's finally got the love of her life back, but she's also terrified. She'll lose him again, this time, not to death, but to the world that forced him into hiding. Every time she sees him step outside alone, her stomach knots. Every time the phone rings and there's no voice on the other end, her hands shake. And yet, she holds it together. Because she knows Ty's return wasn't just tight, was a battle he fought alone. And now that he's home, she refuses to let fear steal him from her again. Jack's transformation is slow but steady. At first, he keeps his distance, afraid to believe what's right in front of him. But then, one night on the porch, just like old times, he brings out 2 cups of coffee and sets one down in front of Ty. No words, just that simple act. And that's how it begins. Slowly, quietly, like a broken bridge being rebuilt one plank at a time. Jack starts inviting Ty along for early morning rides, teaching him how the ranch changed while he was gone. They talk about horses, about fences, about the new colt that won't listen to anyone but Katie. But what they're really talking about is trust, how to get it back, how to earn it, how to let it live again after it's been buried for so long. Lou, finds herself slipping into protective mode. She can't help it. It's who she's always been. But this time, it's different. She's not just trying to protect Amy, she's trying to shield Heartland itself. With reporters still snooping around, she starts making calls, leveraging her contacts from her time in politics to keep the story quiet. If this goes national, she tells Ty and Amy, it'll never stop. They'll never stop. Ty agrees. He doesn't want a spotlight. He doesn't want interviews. He just wants to pick up the pieces and live the life he was forced to give up. But Lou knows better. Secrets don't stay buried in towns like this, she says. Especially not when they're wrapped in miracles. Still, she fights for Amy, for Lindy, for peace. But peace is fleeting. One night, Ty goes into town alone to pick up supplies. Amy begs him not to, but he insists. I can't hide forever, he says. The trip seems normal at first. The clerk at the feed store stares a little too long but says nothing. A few heads turn as Ty walks to his truck, but no one approaches. It's quiet. Too quiet. Then, just as he's unlocking the door, someone whispers his name from behind. He turns in, there's a man he doesn't recognize. Wearing a jacket too heavy for the weather, hands in his pockets, eyes sharp. I thought you were dead, the man says. Ty doesn't answer. I liked it better when you were, the man adds before turning and walking away. Ty stands there for a long time, the keys shaking in his hand. He doesn't tell Amy when he gets back. Not yet, not tonight. Meanwhile, Amy is fighting a war of her own. The emotional aftermath of Ty's return is a battlefield she wasn't prepared for. The nights are hardest. When Lindy's asleep and the world is quiet, that's when the fear creeps in, not just fear of losing Ty again, but fear of not knowing him anymore. He's changed. He's still Ty, but there's a darkness in his eyes sometimes, a hesitation in his voice. Trauma has carved lines into his face she doesn't recognize. And she wonders, quietly, if love is enough to bring them back to what they once were, if they've simply been apart too long. She wants to believe in healing, in time, in the magic that brought him home. But she's also learning that miracles come with scars. And those scars don't disappear. Just because the sun is shining again, Georgie becomes an unexpected anchor for Ty. She knows what it feels like to be lost, to be misunderstood, to be seen as something broken. She takes him riding against the two of them, like they used to. The horses still listen to you, she says one afternoon, watching him handle a restless gelding like he never left. They remember, Ty replies, and so does she. In Ty's quiet strength, Georgie finds her own voice again. They talk about old memories, about the time they got lost in the backwoods trying to rescue a wild Mustang, about the day Amy gave birth to Lindy. Those stories become lifelines, proof that the past wasn't just pain, but love. Real, deep, unforgettable love. But while some hearts begin to mend, others start to question. Tim grows restless. He hasn't spoken much since Ty returned. There's something brewing inside him in anger he doesn't know how to name. It's not that he isn't happy Ty's back. He is. But there's a piece of him that can't shake the feeling that he should have known. That somehow, some way, he should have felt it. You were like a son to me, he tells Ty one afternoon. And I buried you. I cried for you. I blamed myself. And the whole time, you were alive. Ty tries to explain again. But Tim cuts him off. I'm glad you're home, but I'm not there yet. I need time. And with that, he walks away. The words sting, but they're honest. And honesty, no matter how sharp, is better than silence. As the tension builds, something else begins to rise Lindy's curiosity. She starts asking questions about where her dad went, why he was gone, why people keep staring at them in town. Amy struggles with how much to tell her, how to protect her, but Ty steps in. One night, as they sit on the porch beneath the stars, he tells her the truth, his version of it. I had to go away to keep you safe, he says, and every day I was gone, I thought about you. I missed your first steps, your first words, but I never stopped being your dad. I never stopped loving you. Lindy listens, quiet and serious. Then she crawls into his lap and whispers, I'm glad you came back. In that moment, something inside Ty shifts. The weight lifts just a little. But the danger isn't over. As the episode draws to its final moments, Lou receives a phone call. It's from a contact in the federal agency that once protected Ty. Her voice is urgent, her tone grave. We have a problem, she says. Someone slipped through. Someone we thought was in custody. We believe they know Ty is alive. Lou's face pales. She turns to look at Amy, who's watching Lindy and Ty chase fireflies in the yard. We thought it was over, Lou says quietly, but it's not. It's just beginning. And with that, the illusion of safety begins to crack again. Everything feels like a dream, but dreams don't come with consequences. And as Ty stands once again in the place he once called home, the shadows of his past begin to follow him like storm clouds gathering at the edge of the sky. Heartland has always been a place of healing, of forgiveness, of second chances. But what happens when your second chance is built on secrets that still have teeth? What happens when the family you love is put in danger just because you came back? Ty knows that his return is more than a miracle, it's a risk. And every moment he spends in the arms of the people he loves is another moment closer to being found by the ones who never stopped hunting him. Amy senses it too. That quiet ticking under every smile, every shared glance, every ride out into the fields. Her soul is rejoicing. How could it not? She has Ty back. The man she never stopped loving. The father Lindy never got to know. The partner who made her believe in forever. But with every joyful breath, she feels that fear creeping in. What if this is all temporary? What if the universe is playing a cruel trick, dangling love just close enough to taste it tonally to rip it away again? Still, she chooses to believe, to hope, because that's what Heartland has always taught her. Even in the darkest night, the sun will rise again. The rest of the family feels the shift too. Jack, after years of carrying the burden of loss in silence, finally begins to speak the words he's kept locked away. "You were the one I was proudest of," he tells Ty during one of their quiet porch talks. "You reminded me what this place is about: hard work, loyalty, love. And when you were gone, I thought that part of Heartland went with you. But you brought it back." Jack's voice cracks, but he doesn't look away. He's done hiding emotion, and in that moment, something between them fully heals, not just the pain of loss, but the ache of time. Georgie's bond with Ty only deepens. She finds herself writing more, breathing easier, pushing herself again. Ty was always her compass hand. Now that he's back, she starts dreaming again. Not just about competitions, but about building something more lasting. "You came back," she tells him one evening, "and it made me believe I can come back to Ty. Doesn't need to ask." What she means, he knows, and he nods, proud of her for finally saying the words. Even Tim, stubborn as ever, begins to thaw. He still carries guilt, still wishes things had been different. But slowly he starts to show up, not just physically, but emotionally. He helps Ty fix the barn roof, takes him into town for supplies, teaches him how things have changed while he was gone. And in those quiet moments, the silence between them begins to fade. "You're here now," Tim finally says. And that's all that matters. It's not an apology, but it's the closest Tim has ever come to saying he forgives him. And for Ty, that's more than enough. Lou continues to fight from the background, while everyone else begins to settle into the fragile comfort of reunion. She's still the shield blocking reporters, silencing speculation, making calls late into the night to ensure the danger doesn't reach their doorstep. But she's tired. And one night, as she sits alone in her old bedroom, looking at photos of Ty holding baby Lindy, she breaks. "Please," she whispers to no one in particular, "let this miracle be real. Let it last." Because she's seen too much already. Too much grief, too many goodbyes. She doesn't want to lose anything else. But even as hope blooms, darkness creeps closer, the threat Lou was warned about. It's not just a shadow anymore, it has a name. A man Ty once helped expose has resurfaced. A man who swore revenge on those who ruined him. And now, thanks to whispers and headlines and photos too carelessly shared, he knows Ty is alive. And she knows where to find him. Somewhere, on the edge of Alberta's vast landscape, someone is watching, waiting, preparing to finish what they started. Amy and Ty don't know it yet. They're focused on the now. On small, beautiful moments that feel like stolen time. Feeding the horses together. Watching Lindy ride her pony for the first time with both her parents there. Sitting on the porch as the sun dips below the hills, hands intertwined, heads resting gently against each other. "Do you ever wish we could freeze this moment?" Amy asks, her voice barely above a whisper. Ty nods. Every second of the day. She leans into him, letting the silence say the rest. Because words aren't enough, not for this. Not for what they've lost. Not for what they've found again. But time doesn't freeze. Life moves. And somewhere, just out of sight, it moves in dangerous directions. The final moments of this episode don't end in celebration. They end in a quiet warning. A drone hums overhead too high to be seen, but just loud enough to catch the ear. A photo is taken from a distance, grainy, but clear enough to show Amy, Ty, and Lindy standing in the field. And in a dark room somewhere far from Heartland, a figure studies the image and smiles. So as season 19 begins, so does the most unpredictable chapter in Heartland's story. A chapter where love returns but danger follows. A chapter where healing begins but nothing is promised. A chapter where every joy comes with risk and every second chance must be protected. Because Ty Borden is alive. And that changes everything. But the real question is, for how long?